So I think one of the interesting aspects of Batman is that Bruce Wayne has always been the version of him that's not real. His face is really just the mask, while his cowl that he wears as Batman is something that really symbolizes a much more darker and meaningful reality for his personality. So I think with that dynamic, it would be an interesting question to imagine what would happen if you did take away the Dark Knight persona for Bruce Wayne. And if Bruce Wayne was forced to be his genuine self, what would that actually look like? So I just wanted to speculate on how Bruce Wayne would view his identity and his life differently if he didn't end up becoming Batman. This isn't necessarily replacing his backstory or the tragic incident that happened to his parents, but just considering a universe where Bruce Wayne didn't actually become Batman, and in spite of that, he used his identity really as a means for good. And I think looking at what's done already in terms of the Batman versions that we've gotten, there would be a few versions of Bruce Wayne specifically that do seem to display what this would look like. And we do see Bruce Wayne sometimes even using his identity and his public persona in a genuine way, or utilizing his public power to implement good for Gotham, and not necessarily just doing the more chaotic and fake persona of Bruce Wayne as a real means of just hiding the possibility of him being Batman. So that's why I think it would be interesting to consider what he would look like if he was only limited to that role exclusively. So if Bruce Wayne never became Batman, I think there would be a few different alternatives for what his life and his personality would look like. I think for one, it's safe to say that he would still have been motivated one way or another to find other means to get his results in Gotham, given he did have his parents dying due to crime in an alleyway. So I think due to this catalyst of an event, I think he would have most likely utilized more or brought even more out of Bruce's philanthropy if he was really using that as a full means to eradicate the crime in Gotham and make Gotham a much better place. Besides just the donations that he makes already, I think he would do that even more, if not just invest in Gotham's issues and Gotham's future completely. So I would imagine that Bruce Wayne would be a lot more active in charitable organizations to improve the city, and this would be a much more proactive way to fighting crime from the back end rather than taking it head on with his fist. And I think it's possible that in addition to what we've gotten already, that Bruce would start even more of his own charitable organizations to really have control over the impact that this would have on Gotham, instead of just donating to them and not really having as much say over what happens. But I think besides just the charity work alone, it's likely that Bruce, in addition to that, or instead of that, would also become a politician to influence Gotham's policies directly. There are a few instances of Bruce, such as the multiverse version of Batman that does eventually become the mayor of Gotham. I think that could be an option here if he did that instead of pursuing a career as a vigilante. But in the instance of where this happened already in this multiverse version of Batman, this would be after he retired as Batman. But here I think it would be at a much earlier age if he didn't become Batman, and he would have likely pursued a long political career in Gotham. And this could either have been as a mayor and working himself up to even become a congressman and even president potentially, or this could have been starting with the city council instead of becoming the mayor. But either way, I think it would have been interesting to see how Bruce would have maneuvered to influence policy decisions as a politician if he devoted his life to that. But I think besides a political career, another easy option that I could see Bruce Wayne doing would be pursuing a career in law enforcement, since that is pretty much what he does already as Batman, even though often at most times he is working outside of the law, even though he is pretty parallel to it. And I think since we see Bruce working so closely with Jim Gordon, it's easy to see Bruce as a version of Jim Gordon here as well. Or it's also possible to see Bruce doing another form of law enforcement. We already have a few comics that describe the origins of Batman, being where he temporarily joined the FBI just to learn all of their training and strategies before leaving shortly afterwards. I think imagining Bruce Wayne pursuing a long-time career as an FBI agent would be a likely possibility if he didn't go down the path of becoming Batman. And then I think along with law enforcement itself, you have another side of law, which would be being a lawyer, because we do know that Harvey Dent plays a big role in keeping Gotham safe, at least when he didn't turn to the dark side and become Two-Face. So it's also easy to see Bruce Wayne as maybe a version of Harvey Dent in a different universe. But stepping aside from the more law enforcement category, I think it's easier just to see Bruce Wayne as an extended version of what he is already, and really looking to the role of his father in terms of just picking up where he left off. And this could just see Bruce Wayne as the CEO of Wayne Enterprises, but instead of kind of just doing that part-time, that really be what he devotes his life to and really takes Wayne Enterprises to the next level in terms of expanding it, in terms of focusing on new technology, which is already a branch of Wayne Enterprises. But I could really see Bruce Wayne as a successful entrepreneur, and through a lot of his developments, he would be in a much bigger place to have an impact on the development of Gotham. So I think that would be an interesting option as well. And I think these would be a lot more of the more positive sides to what Bruce Wayne would look like if he didn't become Batman. But I do think that maybe if Bruce didn't become Batman, there could be more of a downward spiral in terms of his life. And it is possible to consider, while I think it would be unlikely for someone with the character of Bruce Wayne that always wants to do good, you do have to consider him possibly becoming more of a villain in this sense. And I think that's also one of the unique things to Gotham, is that it really mirrors Bruce Wayne in a lot of ways. We've already talked about how Jim Gordon or Harvey Dent are already mirrors to a different version that Bruce could have taken. I likely think that that's exactly the same case with a lot of the antagonists or villains that have been developed for Batman. I think those are likely just also deeper meanings to Batman. So I think before getting to that, obviously without Batman, that crime would pretty much completely rule the street if there wasn't a larger force intervening. So we could likely see Gotham in a much more anarchy state. So I think with that, he would just become a villain like he faces already. He could become a version of the Joker, since there is a little bit of ambiguity and mystery in terms of the origin of the Joker. It's possible we could have seen that be one of the more darker options for Bruce Wayne if he did still go the physical route but didn't become the version of what we know currently as Batman. It's possible he would have been more of a version of Bane. Also, knowing that the Court of Owls exists for a lot of the public elite in Gotham, that it's pretty likely that Bruce Wayne could have gone down that path. So I think these are all possible ways that he could have taken a turn for the worse. And I think the more likely outcomes of what this would have looked like are the more positive ones, in terms of him being a lot more involved as the CEO of Wayne Enterprises, or becoming a lawyer, a police officer that works his way up in Gotham, or even a politician. But I do think more times than not, it is pretty inevitable that he does become Batman. I think that's what makes Gotham and all of these characters really interesting, and makes Batman one of the most interesting superheroes of all time. But feel free to let me know if you guys have any idea for what Bruce Wayne would have possibly looked like if he didn't go the path of becoming Batman. Really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you later.